Welcome back to the NITE Economics YouTube channel, and tonight we're going to be looking at the price of Bitcoin and a couple of crypto related stocks. If you're liking the content, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and without any further ado, let's get started with tonight's video. So as you can see here, I have the monthly chart of Bitcoin, but what we actually want is the 24-hour chart of Bitcoin. Take a look at our friend Bitcoin here. So if you could see Bitcoin here in the last couple of days, it essentially hit that low and now starting to rally up above that low. I would exercise some level of caution here because Bitcoin, many times during bear markets, Bitcoin will have big drop-offs to the downside, will rally for a day, then continue to drop off from that rally, that little mini rally in between the drop-off. As you could see, it happened earlier in I guess late last year, October. He had a rally in October, then so he had the drop off from the all-time high, rally in October, and then a big drop off. And you see that happens many times in bear markets here in Bitcoin, right? So here's a little bit different, but you have like a big drop off, a rally, another drop off, another rally, and then a drop off, and another rally, and then a really big drop off. So I would exercise caution going into the next week or two, and then I would say that, you know, if you don't have a big drop off to finish this month, if you don't have a big drop off to finish this month or a new low created, I would say we're going to enter another boring period in Bitcoin. Not boring period, but essentially a period in Bitcoin where it has this upward bias, like you see here, from essentially the low in November all the way to January, and then from February, the start of February, all the way to I guess the end of May. Was the end of May? No, I guess early May, and then you had the drop off. So I would exercise some caution here in the next week or two, especially when we look here at the 2-week chart. We're about to have this. Let me turn this off. We're about to have this silver cross to the downside. So when we have silver crosses to the downside in Bitcoin's price action in bear markets, it usually the catalyst that's going to trigger the low sometime later in that year. So you could see we had this silver cross over here, and then we had that happened in August of 2015, and then we had our low in November of 2022. So I'm not saying this is going to trigger it right now, as in today, but it's something to keep an eye on. Keep a watch on, because it's gonna have some downward price action. How low will it go? Well, it's hard to tell. I think if you guys have been watching my channel, and if you watched my video that I've talked about the Bitcoin bottom strategy or Bitcoin bottom formula, that's what it's called. You could see that I'm calling for price targets around the $45,000, $45,000 US dollar price range, give or take a couple $1,000s. So yeah, here this silver cross that happened here in 2019 is a little bit different because it happened so much later in the bear market that it happened the low already happened, and then this silver cross happened, and you got to realize that silver moving averages are lagging indicators, right? So in this case, when the moving averages are so far away from each other, it's going to take a very, very big downward price action in Bitcoin in order to trigger it, right? Here in the most recent history, the moving averages are much closer to each other, so it doesn't require such a big move in order to cross for the moving averages to cross each other, essentially. And I think here on the 10-day we have one coming up as well too. No, that already happened, and maybe it's the 5-day. No, where did I see it? Maybe the 2-day. It doesn't matter. Essentially, so to wrap up my thoughts here on Bitcoin right now, exercise caution in the next couple of weeks. In the next 2 weeks or so, silver cross is going to happen in the next 2 weeks, I think. In the next week, we're going to have a silver cross. Unless Bitcoin rallies significantly to the upside, we're going to have a silver cross in the next 7 days. That doesn't mean it's going to happen right away, but expect some downward price action, later this year, into the fall of this year, I would say. So yeah, And let's take a look here at a couple of crypto related stocks. Let's start with MicroStrategy. I'm not bullish on MicroStrategy. I think there's more downward price action to go and to be had in MicroStrategy. We're about to have a cross here between the 21 exponential moving average and the 200 simple moving average here on the weekly. I think that will trigger some more downward price action in MicroStrategy here. So yeah, I mean, this is a downtrend. I mean, we have new lows here. Well, maybe not. We don't have new lows, but we have the same, more or less the same closure. Anyways, to me, this looks like it wants to go further down. Where, it's really hard to say. Let's take a look at the monthly. Maybe the monthly will give us some more. I mean, look, we had this cross here on the monthly, so that's interesting. I would say, back to these previous highs here that were set here back in November 2021. I mean, we're now slightly below the high set in February 2021, but somewhere around here in this pocket, maybe as low as $73,000, somewhere between 88 and 73,000 bucks. Sorry, 73 bucks and 88 bucks. I'm so used to thinking about Bitcoin. This is not such large numbers. But anyways, again, so somewhere between the $73 mark and this $88 mark would be, an area of interest to keep an eye on. And I could see MicroStrategy, particularly Bitcoin goes down, MicroStrategy is going to go down. And I think this one has more downside to go. And I think if we look at it on the weekly, which one? I was looking at it before. Maybe the monthly. Yes, the monthly. So here in the monthly, you could see in the last bear market, so the last bear market that matters, and that's when Bitcoin entered. MicroStrategy got into buying Bitcoin was here in 2020. So you got this big rally to the upside. And then it revisited. Didn't revisit those lows, but it got pretty much to like the same ranges as it was before it was even buying Bitcoin. As you could see, it got below the 200 simple moving average here on the monthly. So I would say this is a reasonable target. We have one instance, I guess, two instances in the same bear market where MicroStrategy got down and below the 200 simple moving average. I would exercise a lot of caution before getting into any of these particular stocks that I'm about to mention, particularly MicroStrategy. I think it has more downside to go here, particularly to finish this year. Until we start getting some drives of bullish divergence. And even then, I would really wait. There's no rush to get into a position here. So yeah, and again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not your daddy. So if you decide you want to invest based off what I'm telling you, some guy on YouTube, that's on you. So let's take a look at coin. This is Coinbase. So you could see we got to look at this really at minimum on a weekly to get some decent history here. It's a downtrend. It's revisiting the lows. It's interesting that it didn't create a new low like Bitcoin did, so that's interesting. But I think if Bitcoin, in the next couple of months creates another new low, this is going to be dragged down with it. A potential area of interest would be these highs here set back in August 22 and July 2023. So that would be like, let me put a bar on that bad boy. This one, somewhere around here, boom. That would be an area of interest for me to really consider potentially getting into a position here in Coinbase, and I would actually expect it to go a little bit lower than that, to be honest. But yeah, because from current price action to it's decent move, 27% down, but I could see it go significantly lower. If we go back to Bitcoin for a quick second, I expect Bitcoin to get down to more or less 45,000 US dollars. And from current price action, 45 is 30%. So if Bitcoin goes down 30%, I mean, you know, I'm gonna lean on the side that Coinbase could go down 50% from current price action. So that would see it well below that. So 50% would be, and this 50% I just brought up, I'm pulling out of a hat. I don't know for certain, right? But it would make sense because it would make sense here because you could see there was like a lot of resistance here, so there was a lot of buying going on in this area, and it could even go a little bit lower, right? So you could see there was a lot of buying, a lot of selling in this area for several weeks, you know, the lows here and the highs here, so, and even before that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it got all the way down there to that region, the $70 region for Coinbase. And then lastly, I'm going to take a look at Hood. This is Robinhood. So you could see it's interesting that Robinhood actually didn't really go down much with Bitcoin's most recent dump, if you will. It did come down to some extent, of course. I'm not saying it didn't, but you could see on the weekly it had this high here, and then it came down 15%, and then it's recovered. So it's back at the previous high set over here. I mean, it's right now on a closing basis, it's slightly below that, but it's pretty much, for all intensive purposes, it's pretty much back at where it was 2 weeks ago. So that's interesting. Again, with this as well, I would exercise a lot of caution with Robinhood. The reason why it's rallying, it's having this rally, is because because of this. So Robinhood just wanted approval to underwrite IPO. So that's essentially when companies go public, right? So I guess that's bullish news for Robinhood. And I think SpaceX went public recently. So Robinhood sees record-breaking traffic after SpaceX stock debuts. Yeah, so I'm assuming SpaceX stock must have debuted on Robinhood, and they won this approval so they could underwrite the IPOs for SpaceX and probably for other companies that are going to go public into the future. So you could see that it has rallied on the other side of this news. So this is why we're seeing this again. This type of news is like, you shouldn't trade off of news. I'm just giving you a reason as to why this happened, right? Or you shouldn't even be buying stocks based off of news. This is like, by the time you get the news, like somebody already made this move here, from here, or maybe even down here. They knew this was gonna happen, and they bought it back down here, and you know, they had a nice little move to the upside. I mean, I do think this could go up a little bit higher, but essentially, I think it's gonna create a lower high, and then it's gonna dump back down and go lower, like pretty much every other crypto related stock in this space right now. I think it will revisit the lows. I think it will create new lows and possibly connect with this 200 simple moving average here on the weekly. I think is very, very likely to happen, especially once Bitcoin gets its low in the fall, which I think is likely to happen. And then let's finish off with HUD 8. So this is a Bitcoin mining company in Canada. I used to have this one years ago, back here somewhere. And I sold somewhere around here, which I was very proud of myself because I bought it very cheap. I bought it somewhere, I don't know, maybe somewhere down here, maybe somewhere up here. And I don't remember, but anyways, it was a long time ago. I sold it. I think I sold it around this period, somewhere around here, actually. And it's actually it's very interesting. This has created a new all-time high, and I'm not sure why. I'm gonna do some research on it. And you know what, guys, I might start making some shorts more on like the news of Bitcoin and just stock-related stuff, just for entertainment purposes, of course. But yeah, this is a new all-time highs. It looks bullish. Yeah, so this is one I'll monitor closely. And that's all I have for today's video. If you're liking the content, please subscribe to the channel. Drop a like. If you have any comments, drop them down in the comments section down below. Let me know what you think of the content. Let me know of anything what you guys think about anything that I've talked about in tonight's video. And yeah, if you're liking the content, subscribe to the channel one more time. And I'll see you guys in the next evening's video. Take care for now. Bye.